Recipients of the Business and Finance Business Person of the Year award for their outstanding achievements include the likes of Michael Smurfit, Tony Ryan, Peter Sutherland, Tony O'Reilly, Dennis O'Brien, Niall Fitzgerald, Neville Isdale, Gary McGann, and last year's winner, Danuta Gray. We've prepared a short video to highlight some of this year's winners' achievements.
I think for somebody to found a company and to still be the CEO, having grown it to the extent that he has, is a fantastic track record.
To break into the oil industry, the exploration industry, setting up the business in the 80s, which were really, really awful times here.
And it's come in 25 years from a couple of 100,000 to start it off to a business that's worth 12 billion sterling today.
The leadership of that one person and his team is just probably one of the greatest business stories ever to come out of Ireland.
Aidan started Tullow back in 1985, and he was an accountant working in a company called Tullow Engineering. He had no oil background, he's not a geologist. Just through single-mindedness decided, yeah, this is a sector I want to go after.
Aidan Heavey is managing as an explorer to push the frontiers and find new locations for his business.
I see it as a frontiersman type of business, huge innovation, huge risk-taking.
But its performance, you know, as a socially responsible business, its work in Africa, in communities, is absolutely outstanding, and I've seen it firsthand.
He's the Director of Trade Links, which is an innovative project between Ireland and Uganda to try and improve business and trade between the two countries.
If they go into a particular country and invest money, they do side-by-side projects in education, in agriculture, in health, irrigation.
He's always thought long term. He's never been thinking in terms of let's get in and get out and make a quick killing. He's always been thinking how do we get bigger and how do we become part of these countries that we're actually doing business in.
I think Aidan's a very kind of quite unassuming person, but very dedicated, very focused, I think, guy. He's very clear on what he wants to achieve and what he wants to do.
He's also paid attention to his investment base. He's been really clever in his acquisitions. Has not put a foot wrong over the last 25 years.
He's taking on the big boys internationally, and he's built us a company that's linked to Ireland, very strongly linked to Ireland. That's a world-class player.
He's a visionary. People, you know, want to be his supporter, his friend, his lieutenant. It's not difficult to build a team around someone like Aidan because he just inspires people, I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to call upon and to ask you to be upstanding for Aidan Heavey, CEO of Tullow Oil, to accept the 2011 Business Person of the Year Award.
Now, are these on? Yeah. Now, Aidan has opted for a rather different type of speech, and anybody who attended the UCD Awards 2 years ago, we're going to do a little Q&A, and please ad-lib as you feel free. First question is, where did it all go wrong? Did you ever realistically think, Aidan, that you would be drilling for oil offshore in Africa when you founded the company 25 years ago?
No, well, it's hard to imagine. We started off the business in Grand Canal Street here 25 years ago. There was 2 people employed in the company. And just before I go on, Dennis O'Brien said to me, I must mention my wife because everybody else did. Lorraine was actually my first employee. She was unpaid, so thank you, Lorraine. No, I think I think the, you know, it's very hard to see a company growing, and you know, it was brought home to me only recently how big the company had become. I was saying to some people here earlier on that I went on a trip through 3 of our locations in Africa. We started off in East Africa and traveled across all the way to West Africa, and all the way across the continent there was Tullow sites and Tullow locations. And there was people working out in some of the most remotest and distant parts of the planet, places that people had never seen before. And, you know, Irish people, you know, you get off a helicopter in a site in the Hechilobi Desert in Kenya, and you're met by some Irish guys, and it's quite amazing. And then you go right across the continent to the rainforests of Uganda, and again, you've cruised there with Irish people with the Tullow badge and very proud of the culture. And then we kept going across to Ghana and deep water offshore operations. You know, these multi-billion dollar operations that we have started off, and we've taken that country from no oil to first oil last year, and it's now the fastest growing economy in the world. And you know, to start that off here in Ireland is fantastic.
And again, another great example of the Global Irish from a team perspective and individually. Can I ask you the difficult one? What was your most challenging moment in business? And were there ever times that you felt like giving up?
I think there was loads of challenges, but I think I always enjoyed a challenge. I think it's, you know, I think every day in business was a challenge, but I love it. You know, so when I get up in the morning, I just look forward to challenges. So I don't think there's any one particular challenge. I think it's all a challenge, but it's fun.
Indeed. Some of us say that denial works, actually. What happens now for Tullow Oil? You're a great champion of promoting doing business in Africa from an opportunity perspective. So 2 questions. What happens now for Tullow? And how can Irish companies look to Africa from a business perspective?
I think, you know, we started off in Africa in Senegal, and, you know, it was a fantastic experience. There's some people in this room who were there at that time, and, you know, we had great fun. We had great fun with the Senegalese, and, you know, Tullow's way of doing business started off there. And I think if you work properly in Africa, you go in there and do things in a proper way, you will get great returns. And I think Africa is one of the great areas left for major investment. And, you know, there's tremendous opportunities there. We held a conference here in Dublin with Trade Links a few months ago, where we invited African companies to come to Ireland to meet with Irish companies. There's tremendous opportunities. You know, there's great opportunities in Uganda, and again, Trade Links are heavily involved in that. You know, it is the big area for big investment, and, you know, we think it's the place to be. You know, if you look at the companies that have done well in the last 4 or 5 years, they've all been companies who have emerging market exposure.
And Aidan, tell me this: who were the business people in your life, local or international, who inspired you in your career?
Well, I think, you know, Ireland is dotted with fantastic people. You know, look at the recipients of this award. We have some of the best business people on the planet. You go around the world, and people will know the names of very good Irish business people. Dennis O'Brien, who I had the pleasure of sitting beside on the table, Dermot Desmond. You know, all of these people are fantastic business people, and, you know, they inspire anybody.
Okay. And Paddy Crossgrave is next year, I believe. Final question, and it's an important one. Ireland is obviously in a tough spot at the moment. What would your advice be on how to best recover, locally and internationally?
Well, you know, I wouldn't have a clue. You know, my whole philosophy on life, I was never very smart, but what I was good at is picking very smart people. So if somebody gave me something to solve, I'd hire very good people to solve it. So I think hire very good people to solve the problem and they'll solve it.
And finally, I was speaking to Michael Carey earlier on, and 2 years ago, both of you were the recipients of the UCD Business Awards, and you were the BCom Business recipient of that particular year, and Michael was the MBA, if I'm right. And shortly after the awards, I believe Michael travelled to the UK, and he thought to himself afterwards, here's a CEO, founder of a FTSE 100 company with a 12.5 billion valuation. He lives in the most magnificent home in the UK, drives a yellow Lamborghini at the time, I believe, and is married to a most beautiful wife, Lorraine. And Michael thought to himself, just think what he could have achieved if he'd done the Masters. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2011 Business Person of the Year, Aidan Heavey.
Ian, thank you very much.